Here we go again. Welcome back to Moose and Loose. My name's David. Today we've got Carney getting asked in the halls of Parliament why he's ducking out in the House of Commons today, and, well, snails? His response says it all. It's full-blown panic. We've got him appointing a new PBO. We've got a bunch of other stuff here. Let's jump into this. Starting this episode off, Charest posting this Léger poll of Quebec provincial polling. We've got the PQ at 31%, the Liberals. The PLQ have dropped 5% to 28%. The CAQ up 4% to 17%. So Carney's announced Annette Ryan as Canada's new parliamentary budget officer. Obviously, he wanted to get rid of Jason Jacques because he was criticizing Carney. Now, who is Annette Ryan? Well, we can see here on the vote for it, the Liberals voted 164 to 153. So this did pass, but you'll notice that there's more than 164 Liberals. Looking at the vote itself, this is vote number 98, and this is for Annette Ryan, parliamentary budget officer. And as I mentioned, I showed earlier, 164 for yes, 153 for no. But if we go by political affiliation, it's actually worse for the Liberals. Look at this. Only 158 Liberals voted yes to bring her in. So Carney doesn't have strong support here. He's got 174 Liberals now, 133 no from the Conservatives, and we've got 5 NDP that voted with the Liberals on this, as well as Elizabeth May. So Carney is lacking support here. Now, who exactly is Annette Ryan? Well, she's one of Carney's buddies from Oxford, of course. This article from Peak News magazine, budget watchdog nominee promises pointy analysis as MPs question independence. And scrolling down here, it says brought up in Newfoundland and Labrador and later in Prince Edward Island, Ryan is a Rhodes Scholar with degrees in academia University and Oxford University. She served in a variety of roles across Canada's public service during her career. We'll get to that in a second, but it says here Ryan was asked about her relationship with Prime Minister Mark Carney, whose time studying at Oxford overlapped with her own in the early 1990s. Ryan said that she and Carney knew each other as Canadians abroad. They ran in different social circles. We have this article here from Blacklock's reporter saying Annette Ryan, 55, a former assistant associate deputy finance minister, acknowledged that she knew Carney when both studied at Oxford in the 1990s, but denied any partisan leanings. Now, if we look at her record here and a video I just brought out a couple days ago about FinTrack and how they're reducing the hands-on people to look for money laundering, well, look at her history here. You can see between 2019 and 2026, Miss Ryan served as deputy director, partnerships, policy and analysis, and chief financial officer at the Financial Transactions and Report Analysis Centre of Canada, aka FinTrack. Now, this doesn't immediately mean there's wrongdoing here. She was working with the government in FinTrack, and now she's supposed to be impartial, which is already seems to be a conflict of interest. But the fact that FinTrack had just 33 people are getting slashed, their jobs, their funding. Mark Carney helped Brookfield dodge $5.3 billion in taxes. We're just going to keep an eye on all this stuff and see where the cards fall. Moving ahead, we've got this one from Blacklock's reporter. CTV exec says losses are running at $40 million a year, asks MPs for the same subsidies awarded to news publishers. There's a fear. That's right, CTV wants some of that big money that CBC is getting. And on the flip side, we've got CPAC, who does put out pretty balanced media, announcing that they're having to shut down some of their shows because they don't have enough funding. Their primetime politics and L'Essential, they're canceling these shows. Something funny is going on in Canada. That's all I gotta say. We got this one here. Coast Appliances files for creditor protection as lenders seek restructuring. As more and more pointing out here, this is only the beginning. Yeah, we've been seeing this happen. This is just going to keep snowballing because Carney's not getting a deal. We've got this one here. Liberals will move to take control of House committees with newly secured majority. And so we've got Stephen McKinnon here posting this, all the changes they're going to do. We're not going to go through all this stuff. They just basically giving themselves more power and giving themselves majorities in the committees so they can shut down whatever ones they don't like. They're doing this by simply adding a Liberal to all the committees, so they will have majority. Even if it's tiebreaker, it goes to the chair. They'll just vote it in favor of the Liberals, and they can pass anything they want through Parliament.
In the standing orders, that the committee structure would stand for the duration of this Parliament. Why are you changing that now?
That was, we do that in every Parliament. That's a routine matter. The circumstances have changed.
How is this not a power grab?
The law
So basically how this works is at the beginning of the parliamentary session, when there's a new prime minister, the committees reflect how the people voted. And what they're doing now is Mark Carney got an unelected majority government. He stole a bunch of floor crossers, and now they're using their power to change the committee so they have more votes. They have majority in those committees because right now the opposition holds the power and they don't like that. So if they have a majority in the committees, then they can shut stuff down, deny stuff, and just have full power and control to jam things through Parliament. Now, the question is, will they be able to jam through stuff through Parliament? Because I just showed you, Carney had 158 votes on bringing in his buddy as the new parliamentary budget officer. So clearly, Carney does not have the full support of his caucus.
Longstanding principle, our democracy is built on the pillars of the House of Commons being reflected in all of the institutions of Parliament, and notably House committees.
But the whole point is to slow things down, right? So why do you need to speed things up now?
The whole point of what is to...
Parliament is to slow things down, to examine legislation, to hold the government to account, and you're going to speed things through committee. You're going to push them through committee now.
Well, that's an assumption on your part. I just finished saying that the Prime Minister expects us to work with opposition parties. The Prime Minister expects us to gather evidence, to hear witnesses, to hold public hearings, to work collaboratively.
We all know this is just a bunch of word salad. They're not going to do any of this stuff. They're going to bring in some new legislation to hide all the money being sent over to Brookfield and Brookfield affiliated companies so Mark Carney can boost his Brookfield Global Transition Fund 1. That's what they're going to do.
With other parties and with Canadians as we take on the major challenges of our time. And that's what we intend to do.
That's what they intend to do. And here we got Francois Philippe Champagne, as Mr. Bench posting here, getting asked if he will approve a pipeline from Alberta to the BC coast. They don't like this question because they're not going to do that.
Would you be prepared to put public money into a BC pipeline if that's what it takes? Because the talks seem to be stalled and there's no private.
Listen, I'm not going to speculate on future projects if they are, but what I can say is that we've been there to support project of national interest, and our major project office is something that a number of international investors are looking at.
Yeah, major projects office. That's not doing anything. This clown show just keeps going. I mean, we've got Mark Nixon posting this one. Washington demanding an entry fee from Ottawa before talks start. Trump is sticking it to Carney before they even started talking. Carney gets asked about this in the halls of Parliament. He also gets asked on why he's not showing up for work, why he's not going into the House of Commons.
Can you make any more concessions to get to the table with the U.S., and how do you balance them giving you a list? And if you finish that list...
No, there is a... Well, first thing, we have multiple levels of contact. We worked through a series of issues. We understand what some of the what the Americans would call trade irritants or trade issues are. We have some on our side as well. We're well prepared around those issues. We will sit down and work through those issues with the broader approach in the negotiation. We've made some counter proposals, which they're aware, and the time will come to really roll up our sleeves. But it's not a ce n'est pas un cas d'avoir une demandeur, no.
Yeah, switch into French here. They're going to roll up their sleeves. He had to pull that one out from Justin Trudeau. Just roll up your sleeves.
Why aren't you going today?
So he just asked, why aren't you going today? Why aren't you going to the House of Commons? Listen to this. This is full-blown panic mode here. How many ums and ahs does he say here?
1 out of 5, and you're way behind Harper and Trudeau's pace.
I am accessible to the media. I answer questions all the time.
Thank you for that.
You're welcome, and we'll continue to do so. We have a very strong team in this government, and I believe in the team, the ministers, secretaries of state, parliamentary secretaries, responding to Canadians, and that's important.
It's important. I got something else to do today. I'm going to show you what he's got to do today. It's more important than going into the House of Commons and answering for his lack of action of trying to save our country here.
It's important to how we govern. We govern as a team. We've got a lot on, important questions about the U.S., but at the same time, as I started, it's Earth Day, and one of the big things that the government is doing is the most ambitious not strategy, but plan to put into place to achieve our goals with respect to protecting what really is, I would argue, the world's greatest natural heritage. I mean, we're the second largest country in the world. We have the longest coastline. We're going to protect 30% of our land, 30% of our waters by the end of this decade. We are doing that at the same time we're negotiating with the United States. We're doing that at the same time that we're building affordable housing in Canada. We're doing that at the same time as we're building nation-building projects. We're doing that.
He doesn't want this net zero agenda to slip away, so he's just got to keep putting it into the media cycle. Like, listen, guys, this is really important. We'll deal with America, but we got Earth Day, and we need net zero to save our lives. And don't bother looking into the Brookfield Global Transition Fund that will pay out upwards of $1.22 billion for Carney here. No, don't look into that stuff. Just think of all the flowers and the grass and the trees.
At the same time that we are striking 20 trade and security agreements around the world, at the same time that we're reinforcing childcare, pharmacare, dental care. We're doing all of that at the same time. I am not doing all of that at the same time. I'm doing that with a team of ministers, a team of officials who are working on that, and it's important, my judgment, it is important that they are available, that they also answer the questions. It would also be useful if the opposition had more than one question, which they would.
Your sister, you're showboating and you're not.
Oh, look at that arrogance. It'd be more valuable if the opposition had more than one question. Well, maybe then he should answer the question. The question being that he lied to Canadians, saying that we have never had it so good. Everything is so great in Canada. Cost of living is better than it was 10 years ago. Look at this. He just storms away. Canada's worst prime minister, everyone. Now, what was so important for Carney to do on Earth Day and not show up in the House of Commons? This. He's playing with kids and talking about snails and birds.
Just a minute.
I'm sure I do. I feel sorry for him.
I haven't seen it yet.
It's not so good for him, is it? All right. What's going on? All right. I'm here. I'm ready. I'm ready to learn.
Does anyone have any questions or?
Yeah.
Why is his wife there? Isn't this like official business? What is she doing here? She doesn't work for the government. I get the wife of a prime minister can be there for certain things. Is this official business?
Yeah.
What did people get to today?
Yeah. What is so? Okay. You found some snails. Was that today? You found the snails?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And dandelions. That's good. How about any birds? Any birds sighting?
Yeah.
Carrie?
What amphibian did we find today?
Ah.
Salamanders.
Wow.
Was that
Really?
Was that from Salamander Alley? Okay.
So, do salamanders, they hibernate, don't they, down in the mud? So,
Look at this pathetic display. They go into the ugliest forest with no leaves, with a bunch of kids sitting around talking about salamanders burrowing in the mud. This is the reason he can't show up to debate in the House of Commons. This isn't a serious prime minister. Every Canadian needs to see this.
so they just, I wonder when they started, how big was it?
It's big.
That's pretty big.
What color is it?
Grayish black.
Grayish black. Good camouflage. Good camouflage for the salamander. Okay. That's
Yeah.
good. That's the start.
Our snails with all the endless winter that we've been having here, that just can't come up last week. So
Winter is over.
yeah, last Friday
Winter's over.
we saw.
What's your favorite season? Who likes summer? You like summer? Fall? You like fall? Summer? You like winter? That's the spirit. Okay.
Every season is
I like summer. Spring's pretty good though, because there's lots of change in spring, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we see the salamanders come out.
No.
You have lots of snow. That's right.
Is basically on my.
We know full well Carney's talking about getting his majority government there. Lots of change in spring, isn't there?
Your birthday is all summer long. That's fantastic.
No.
You get a present every day.
all the flowers.
Must be expensive. Yeah. What day is your birthday?
July 22nd.
July 22nd. That's a good
It is
birthday.
midsummer.
Does anyone have a winter birthday?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a winter birthday. Yeah, there you go. There you go. You? When's your birthday?
January 5th.
Oh, that's good. January 5th. That's good. That's good.
Okay, so all of this is completely pointless, but I'm going to continue to play this because this is what he's spending his time doing instead of debating.
When's your
I'm
birthday?
like winter.
When's your birthday?
All right, a little outdoor education for the Prime Minister on this Earth Day as he's meeting with a group of students for what's being called Earth Path.
And nothing from the media. I'm not going to point out that he's skipping work for this. They're just deplorable. Mark Carney, I can't be in the House of Commons because of our commitment to the environment. Also, Mark Carney, okay, so you found some snails. This is a poor excuse for not answering any questions in the House of Commons. No other leader in a parliamentary democracy behaves this way. Carney believes he doesn't need to attend the House of Commons. He thinks thinks he is so smart so his minions can take care of business. In fact, he doesn't like Pierre destroying him because he can't come up with lies to help him out. It's interesting here. We've got Althea here complaining on Peter Mansbridge's show about being censored on Facebook.
Mainstream media, journalism, outlets like mine, the Toronto Star, we are banned from Facebook and Instagram. So because of the government's own legislation, you cannot read trusted news content on Meta's platforms, but you can watch Mark Carney's video. Last night, I have 470,000 views, I think he was at. Yes, Peter, you're probably right. That is more people that watched Question Period. But I think it's a direct chat to Canadians where they're at in a way that, unfortunately, mainstream media is not.
Well, maybe she should stop supporting Carney. All of these guys, they complain about this stuff that censors them, that affects them, and then they always prop the guy up. They're always there to run shield for him, to never criticize him. She works for the Toronto Star. Why isn't she bringing up his conflicts of interest? Something to think about.
It's one thing after another. Jumping over to CBC, we've got this Liberal on this CBC panel, once again taking shots at Poilievre. That's all they do on here.
When I saw the announcement today, I looked at the names and thought, wow, that's nice. What a wonderful bunch of successful Canadians from various backgrounds that are all stepping up to volunteer their time for this collective effort of securing a good trade deal with the Americans. And I naively thought it would be hard for Poilievre to sort of get up there and complain about it. But it's sort of this kind of over the top negative rhetoric towards the prime minister and the government, while simultaneously then implicitly letting off the Trump administration and the Americans, off the hook by putting all the blame and all the onus on the Canadian side. That is so off-putting to Canadians right now.
Most of the blame, though, goes to the Liberals. They're the ones who destroyed the country over the last 10 years. Sure, the Trump tariffs recently have not been good for the certain sectors, but the Liberals could get a deal. We have enough leverage. They're not getting a deal. What's interesting about this new advisory group, we already had one last year, the one with Darlene Dickinson, that Dragon's Den lady, and a bunch of other people. They just made another one. But is it going to change anything? I think what Carney's doing is bringing in some new people that he can beef up his Rolodex that maybe wants to do business with Brookfield. That would make more sense. Unless he's really scared now about getting a deal and he pushed it off and he's fear-mongering, and now he realizes he probably should get a deal because otherwise he'll look bad in the polls a year or two from now. But it doesn't really matter. He's a majority government. It's hard to know what's going on here. We'll find out over the next month or two what really happens, because if he just says dangerous and divided, America's evil, and Kuzma gets ripped up and everything goes to complete crap around here, I think Carney's going to have other problems aside from not getting a deal with Donald Trump. He's going to have to answer to the Canadian people.
To Emily's point that we're consistently seeing reflected in the polling for the last year or so, like him saying the prime minister hasn't held negotiations in 5 months is the kind of framing I would honestly expect from a Trump White House official on Fox News, because the reality of why we hadn't had these negotiations in the last little bit is because the president took his ball and went home because he didn't like that Premier Ford took out an ad that accurately reflected Ronald Reagan's views on tariffs and free trade.
That's not true. They misrepresented the message there. They misrepresented the situation with Japan and the tariffs. That ad selectively chose parts of it and was misrepresentative. Do these people really believe what they're saying here, or is it just because they get paid?
Like, I fully get that the leader of the opposition has to be out there opposing, but I think there's a way to do it without coming across like you're being petulant, or that you're trying to run cover for the Trump administration. So, as long as Poilievre...
She's unbelievable. Mark Carney's 91% invested in America, and she has the audacity to criticize the guy that's trying to save our country and actually cares about Canada. Carney doesn't care about Canada at all.
Kind of keeps this strategy and keeps employing this kind of rhetoric. And the folks around him can't see why a normal person who doesn't spend their entire day online in a conservative echo chamber would find the constant hyperbolic critique of the prime minister off-putting. Then, just pack it in now and get ready for the next decade of the Carney government.
It is startling to see how many people in Canada just don't have a clue.